Greetings everyone, welcome to this presentation whose title is Performance of Public Sector Joint Venture Construction Project in Zambia. Muleya is my name, and the other co-authors can be seen in the box below, and they are all from either Copperbelt University or University of Johannesburg under Kangombe. So the introduction begins by defining what a joint venture is in construction, and this is basically the coming together of two or more construction entities with view of executing a mutually agreed upon objective or objectives. And it's also important to note that these JV partners come together to share resources, to share knowledge, to share profits, share losses, share risks and experience. It's also important to note that joint ventures are common on large and complex infrastructure projects. So in terms of motivation, more than 62% of SMCs in Zambia are known to face challenges in accessing finance for their development. And majority of these contractors are in the lowest grades of 4 to 6 of the NCC register. And on the other extreme, we have large-scale contractors who are in grades 1 to 3, with foreign contractors being capped at grade 2. So this image just confirmed what we talked about, where you have, majority of the small-scale contractors in Group 5 and 6, which under the National Council for Construction register. So moving on with the motivation, 10 public joint venture projects were identified through the NCC register. However, there was no record or information on how these projects were performing, triggering this study to establish and evaluate the performance of these 10 joint venture projects that were identified. So literature looked at the famous joint ventures that are available as listed on the slide. But, excuse me, what is important is that these joint ventures all stated, or rather do state how responsibilities are to be shared, how assignments are to be shared, how profits are to be shared, including losses. It goes on further to look at legal entities that are created as joint ventures, including partnerships that are put together to execute short-term construction projects. We must also mention that under literature review, we also looked at international and domestic joint ventures. So literature was used to identify research parameters, and of course purposive sampling was predominantly used because JVs had to be identified and selected. We must also mention that despite the small sample, questionnaires were used to collect data because of the so many parameters that needed to be analyzed quantitatively. Must also mention that relative importance index was used in order to rank the parameters in their order of importance. "16 questionnaires were received in total, which was a good number looking at the small sample that we had. Now, looking at the results and discussion, the first set of results coming through indicates that the presence of local and international JVs was found, and then, of course, compounded by other types of JVs, which included integration, non-integration, and combination joint venture. Moving on with results, motivations for forming JVs were also established, and this included entry into new markets and increasing financial capacity. Now, factors affecting the success of JVs: delayed payments by clients leading to suspension of works were on top of the list, and then compounded by inadequate plant and equipment and incompetent contractors on the part of local contractors. Still moving with factors affecting JVs, poor communication was one of the factors, and this was arising from the fact that there was a communication barrier issue between foreign Chinese contractors and local contractors, thereby affecting the performance of the joint venture projects. Now, there are some successes that were scored. However, if you focus on the means, you discover that the mean scores struggled to go above 3.69, meaning that the successes scored had were weaker in nature. Of course, you had reduced occupational accidents and a bit of some technology transfer, but this was on a weaker side when you look at the mean scores. So, in terms of conclusion, the study concludes that different types and natures of JVs exist in Zambia, and that there is evidence of successes and challenges as reviewed in the findings. Results also suggest that local contractors in the SME category still need more skills and technology to be transferred to them through local joint ventures. And a well-designed and deliberate platform is required for transferring these skills, because at the moment, no such platform exists. Winding up with conclusions, clients must be consistent with payments to contractors to avoid suspension and smooth flow of work. And lastly, one limitation that was picked is that these JV projects in this study were from the public sector. Now, no JV from the private sector was captured due to non-availability of data at the time of carrying out this research. And so this brings us to the end of this presentation. Thank you so much for your attention.